Welcome to another episode of last week's Comics Today. This week I grabbed some stuff off the rack, either from this week or last week. Just a couple of books that I was curious about or that I'd heard good things about. So only part of this was in my pull list and the rest is sort of somewhat random, but let's get into it. First up is Stillwater issue 11. This is the beginning of a new story arc. The previous one, well, I'll say this. So, for anyone unfamiliar, Stillwater is about a book in which the people don't die, they don't age. If sort of death is attempted in any way, they will heal from it. So they've been at this for a couple of decades, and last issue the kids held a revolt. So they might be mentally 30 to 40 year olds, but they're still in the body of, let's say, 10 year olds. And they were unhappy with the situation. And this starts like this. So it's very good. I think the strength of Stillwater tends to be in the conclusion of arcs, other than the brilliant premise. But this is set up for things to come, and it's a solid issue. It's just not. It's not going to be getting pick of the week. I know that for sure. Or just Thirst for Vengeance issue 2. I wasn't the biggest fan of issue 1, but the comic shop manager where I get my books, he was. I asked him if issue 2 was good. He says it is, but that the problems I had in the first issue are probably still going to be present here. And I think I disagree with him. This has more material to sink my teeth into, and I think some of this probably should have been in the first issue, but I understand like the pacing and the setup for the rest of the series that they were going for. I just think this would have been helpful. It's better than issue 1, and I'm not 100% committed to it yet, but I'll probably add this to my pull list. I read a couple of different previews for What's the Furthest Place from Here, and none of it really sold me on the series, but the praise for this has been non-stop for a couple of months. So out of sheer curiosity, I grabbed it, and it is good, but like a good movie with a bad trailer, they could have put out better previews for what the series is actually about, or that just sold it better in general. So if you're in a similar boat to me where you've heard good things and the previews just didn't sell you on it, I'm going to recommend grabbing the first issue. I think it's triple size, they said, and it's $4.99. So it's, as far as value goes, it's great. Just try it. Sea of Stars issue 11. So this is the end of the series, and actually as of I think 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, I was wondering if this had come out and I'd just forgotten about it, because I believe this was originally supposed to be out in August. Quick story, I put together a short box, and I think it's Birthright, Baby Teeth, Moonshine, and Sea of Stars. And Sea of Stars, Moonshine, Baby Teeth were all supposed to have final issues, again, I think in August, and I'm still waiting for Moonshine. It's November. But that was going to fill up a box, and then I was going to move the whole thing into the basement. So I was thinking about that box, and I'm like, did this come out? It's been months. Did it come out, and did I just forget about it? And the answer is no, it didn't come out. So it's out now, and it's a great series, but because of some of the gaps, I'm going to recommend, I'm sure Image and Jason Aaron are going to put out a complete collection, the whole series, 1 volume. So it's very good, but if you haven't been getting it up until this point, just wait for the complete collection that I'm sure Image is going to wind up putting out. So this is one of the books that came out last week, Dark Knights of Steel. Let me just show you this. Here. There is no way those two people fit inside of that pod. There's no room. I don't even think there's really room for her legs if she were stretched out. It's a good book, but this panel irritates me. I saw this in the preview pages a couple of weeks ago, and I'm just like, I couldn't take my eyes away. I'm like, how? Why? why were those decisions made? I don't understand. Anyway, it's the characters of the DC universe that you're familiar with, but it's in an alternate medieval-ish kind of setting, which is interesting. And there's a twist at the end that I find especially interesting, but I'm enjoying it. I'm probably going to add this to my pull list too. It's 12 issues, and like I was talking about, also a Tom Taylor book a few weeks ago, is I think I'm more interested generally in a limited series than I am an ongoing series. I think that's just my preference. So Strange Academy and the Death of Doctor Strange. This also came out last week. I didn't grab it at the time. I think I actually forgot. It wasn't on my pull list. It's a very good Enchantress story. It takes place following the events of, well, I'm not even sure, but it's following the death of Doctor Strange. Not necessarily the miniseries, but the particular event. So here, they don't talk about Doctor Strange being dead at all, which I find interesting. I don't know if they're just glossing over that, pretending that it didn't happen, or if this suddenly takes place after the Death of Doctor Strange miniseries, but this is a good, like I said, Enchantress story, but it's also entirely skippable. Strange Academy 13, like I just said, does not talk about the death of Doctor Strange at all. It just goes right back into the storyline with the kids and is good. I've been enjoying the series the whole time. I just don't know what this ultimately means for Doctor Strange, the character in particular, if anything. Six Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton, issue 6. This is the end of the miniseries, and like Rock Candy Mountain, it ends in such a way where I think it could continue, but I doubt that it will. It was a solid miniseries. It ends hilariously and ridiculously, but I don't think it's maybe his best work as far as Kyle Starks goes. I'm a huge fan of Rock Candy Mountain and the more recent Old Head. This is good. If you're curious, I once again recommend getting the trade, but I think he has stronger work. Unbelievable Unteens issue 4. This is also the end of a miniseries, and it's part of Black Hammer, but you don't need to read any of the previous Black Hammer series or main titles in order to understand what's happening here. I don't remember if I've said this in previous videos or not, but it's sort of Claremont era teenage X-Men drama, but for a modern audience. And that is in the past. There's two timelines here. There's the past and then the present, and there's about, I don't remember specifically, but I think about 10 years in between. So it's that teenage level, sort of older school comic drama contrasted against adulthood, and it's very well done. I'll just say that. It ends very well. It's maybe one of the happier endings as far as the Black Hammer universe goes, but it is very good. Once again, if you haven't been following but you are curious, I recommend getting the trade collection that should be out in a couple of months, or you can start Black Hammer, any of the existing trades that are out. Man-Eaters, The Cursed, issue 5. This also ends the miniseries. I've previously talked about not reading the previous Man-Eaters series and wanting to based on the strength of this series, and I'm now beginning to question that decision. This ends with a whimper. It has been very interesting, very unexpected series up until this point, and then this just ran out of gas, kind of. So it really makes me question what happens in the first series and whether or not that ends well. But it is good. It's good. It's fine. It's fine. It's not great. Art's great. Just the writing ran out somewhere. I don't know. I don't know. So that's everything that I got this week. As far as a pick of the week goes, I was leaning towards what's the first place from here, but I don't know. It might be Unbelievable Unteens. I think conclusions get more points for me for having payoff than first issues do, because first issues need to set things up, whereas final issues, everything has been set up, and now you should be getting a bunch of payoff that ultimately earns more non-existent points than first issue. So yes, I'm gonna go Unbelievable Unteens as my pick of the week. I get all my comics from a local comic shop. If you don't know where yours is, you can use this URL to find the one closest to you. Thanks for watching.